What's going on, people? So, I got a bag and I have a box, and each of those are shoes. Maybe you saw that in the description. No, does anybody read those descriptions? I put stuff in there. I feel like it's just for my own benefit because algorithm things, but whatever. What is that? Oh. So, first off, I guess I didn't need the knife. So, from the local running shoe store that I often shop at, right? This is the Superblast 3. I was in the store the other day. I stopped in there to get some ankle braces and special socks, whatever, because I had done some terrible things to my ankle the other day, both of them. And then I happened to see that they had these in there. I was like, oh, well, that's fancy. Let's do that. I did have some kind of coupon type of thing to use. I don't remember what these came out to, but 160. 160. Okay. So after all was said and done, not bad, right? Considering that these are 210, 210 feels right. It's an odd time. It's an odd number, yeah. But I feel like that's what I saw on the asics webpage. So, anyways, there is that, right? So as you see, it's not the color that I was wanting initially. I don't know if I ever talked about that. The color that I had wanted was like that purplish sort of color, the one that you've seen in like all the promotional pictures and all that stuff. But for whatever reason, the store they happen to order the other two colors, right? So they ordered this one, this whatever this is, and the white and black pair, which I didn't realize was just straight white and black. I thought it was like a maybe like some kind of bluish grayish sort of thing, but no, it was a very plain color to me, which made me want it significantly less. I already didn't want it at all, so I don't know how I could want it any less, but somehow it happened. Anyway, so let's go ahead and jump on into things and whatnot, do some kind of review. I mean, I tried these on in the store and they were fine then, so I'm sure they're still fine now. I looked them over and all that stuff, so we can jump into it. This right here, for those who may have missed it, the asics superblast 3 in whatever color this is listed as. I honestly don't know, but it looks pretty all right. Kind of reminds me of those heat map ultra boosts that I have. What was that? I think that was like one of the DNA pair, right? Anyways, across the bottom, wow, this thing is like super light. I don't know exactly how light it is. I didn't look up all the stats. Just know that it's light. So on the bottom looks like a lot of the other stuff that they've been making, right? They do say it has this like trampoline inspired like outsole. So there's supposed to be like a pod type of thing down in here, which is supposed to like help you kind of like spring forward or whatever. Does that really work? I should find out Saturday. The plan is to do this 10K and wear these. That'll be the first time I'm wearing them. So I'll do some sort of recap after that. But for right now, it's all speculation. Generally, I do take some value from what ASIC says. It tends to hold true. But, again, sometimes like the buzzwords overlap with a lot of the releases. So you're like, okay, is this just a thing you're just saying? Anyways, moving on past that. Midsole wise, right? So you do have a split sort of technology thing going on here. Very similar to what was going on with the what was that the last thing I had that had a 3 in it? The Hyperion Max 3. It also had like the split midsole, right? So in this one, you do have the Flight Foam Leaf, which is one of the newer things. They had that in the was the Tokyo releases. So the what's that thing called? The Metaspeed Ray and the Edge and the Sky all had that in there. And some other things recently have had those that I think the Magic Speed 5 maybe. Either way, so you can kind of see down there like it is a split sort of situation. And on the back there it is. That's what I was looking for. Flight Foam Blast Plus is what's gonna make up the lower piece, right? And that's the same stuff that you may be familiar with if you have like the Kyanos and Nimbuses and stuff. They've been using that on those. So they have that across the bottom, and they have the good stuff at the top, which is again the same thing the Hyperion Max did. So I'm guessing the approach is similar, and that like the lower piece is here because it's going to be a little bit stiffer. It's going to give you some sort of like stability under there, and then on the upper piece you have all the extra stuff for cushion and all that, and to make it overall lighter, more responsive, all that stuff, right? And at some point they will probably make something that has all leap in it, but who knows? So that's what's going on midsole wise. Otherwise, upper, it feels a little bit different than it did last year. I didn't bring the Super Blast 2 over here because I just didn't really feel like doing that, honestly. But upper feels a little bit different. Doesn't feel better, but I mean, it might actually feel better when you wear it. But to the touch, I'm saying I don't really care so much for the way this feels, but I said that's about something recently also. I do like the way they did this design on the side, though. That's pretty cool. Matches up with the same sort of thing you're seeing on the inside, you know? It just looks fast, you know? On the back end, I don't know what that is, but that's there. So you got that happen. I don't know why these laces are, oh, it's because I wore these and I didn't like tie them like I normally do. Anyways, well, when I was trying them on, this is when I wore them. So tongue-wise, you do have a lot of these big holes in there for breathability and all that stuff. Otherwise, the tongue itself is going to be pretty thin, much like the Blast series and all that, right? Little piece here saying asics and all that. Down in there, superblast. It doesn't have the number, but it is the 3. Otherwise, just very plain black and white, right? So the visual of that on the inside, not a whole lot, but it's really all about like how this thing actually works and all that stuff, right? So that's what matters. But I'm going to slip these things on real quick just to get like a little reminder of how they felt as far as like width and like length and all that stuff. Now, it's not the easiest to tell all the time, right? Because the Superblast 3 here, right? It is built similarly to the Superblast 2 in that they both have an 8mm drop. It's just that the last time it was like a 45-37, and this time it's 46.5, 38.5. So they increased the overall height by 1.5 millimeters. Again, very similar approach to what the Hyperion Max 3 did, right? So that might be a little something to get used to because you're just going to feel a little bit higher, but the drop itself is going to be a similar experience. But where I was going with that is like, it can be hard to tell how that's going to feel unless you actually stand up and walk around, because it is a little bit higher than some like the real speed shoes. Those are often like those 6s and stuff, right? Maybe some 5s in there. But when you wear something like this, you might have more of a sliding to the front sort of feel possibly. So it is what it is. Some people like it, some people don't. Some people it just doesn't affect them at all. I bring it up because it's a thing worth mentioning in case somebody out there does care to know that. But anyway, so these do feel pretty good, right? They don't feel like they have a whole lot of room in there. And I know a lot of people like to size up on the running shoes and stuff. So I get that, right? Because over time, foot swelling is a thing, you know. But for me, I went true to size on the last pair. I went true to size on this pair. This one felt fine. It felt fine when I was walking around in the store. Again, there's just not a whole lot of room in there, like when I put on like a Glycerin Max or something like that. But these will likely be readily available in a lot of places. So go ahead, try them on and all that stuff, or just do whatever you did last year if you had the 2, and you'll probably be okay. One other thing that to throw out there, from what I saw on like the ASICS webpage, right, the Superblast 3 and the Mega Blast, which are, you know, similar-ish shoes. Supposedly this one is more for like distance, and it's supposed to give you like that extra cushioning over that time, right? Whereas the Mega Blast is for straight up speed. So if you're wondering what the difference is and who these shoes are to cater to, because there's like a million different Blast shoes, there's a million different ASICS running shoes in general at this point. Gets a little confusing, but that's what the ASICS webpage is saying. So take that, do whatever you want to with it. I'm not going to argue it or anything like that. I'm not going to promote that it's right. I'm not going to promote that it's wrong. It's just the thing that I read. So it's the thing that I'm passing on to you. I'll see this weekend how things go. Lots of times with stuff like that, to be honest, though, like if it has like some new quality technology and whatnot in there, it's going to be fast too, right? They can say that it's not built for that or whatever. Maybe they just don't want to, you know, mislead you, or maybe they just want to like be able to push the Mega Blast still and like give you some sort of reason to buy both of them, right? Though for a lot of us, we don't really need a reason to buy both of them. They're different in the name, and sometimes that's often enough. So that's where I am anyways. But yeah, so I'll probably break those out for this 10K this coming Saturday, and I will put some kind of low effort video online, right? Kind of like how these lives are very low effort videos. So I say that as in things that don't get like the full on production of when I sit down in the lab and start really going to town and doing all the edits and whatnot. So this box comes straight from ASICS, right? So some of you might have recognized that because a lot of the Asics boxes all have the same sort of style. Little piece of advice, however you want to look at it. If you ever order something from Asics, if you order like a single pair of shoes, they will generally ship it in a bag. I'm not a fan of that. So I like to make my Asics purchases like when I need like multiple things, which is why I just pulled out multiple boxes. All right, we're going to start with the stuff that's not for me because I can just breeze on through that, right? So a friend of mine, she's doing the Cherry Blossom 5K, right? So I needed to pick up something for her. And so this is a shirt from Asics, just normal road shirt, right? Short sleeve and all that stuff. It's nice green. I do like this, Just something lightweight to wear because she's going to be walking it, right? Not running it like I would. And then a pair of shoes here. Should be a women's 6. Yeah, good. It is the 2055. I was pretty sure it was. I didn't write 2055 in the description and stuff because I was kind of unsure at the time, honestly. But, because sometimes you're just buying stuff and, you're not paying as much attention to remembering all the details. And also, I'm still not even sure what the difference is between the NYC and the NYC 2055. And I own both of them, right? I did a video about both of them. Maybe I covered it then, but I do a lot of stuff and I don't remember most of it. So this right here is the Asics gel-nyc 2055 in whatever color this happens to be. Didn't read the box, didn't really care a whole lot. I just saw the look of it and was, yeah, that's the one. So across the bottom, that's what things look like down there. Pretty plain, pretty simple, very much that old retro runner look. Goes in line with what you're seeing on here from the midsole. I do like that they have the gel but that you can see all the way through to the front to an extent, right? You don't get that same approach on the inside though, but I get it. A lot of stuff doesn't have that. And then otherwise, a lot of mesh going on here, very breathable in that way. Got some sort of it almost feels like a fake leather sort of thing going on up here because it's kind of shiny, but it still has like that leathery sort of feel, And then as far as like the side here, same approach, very plasticky in this case though, on as far as like the side, all the way to the back end. That's what things are looking like back there. Simple, but it works. And then again, all meshed out on the tongue and all that stuff. Let's get that out of the way. You can kind of see the logo. I am doing a terrible job of keeping this thing in front of the camera. I don't know why. I think it's because this other YouTube video is throwing me off. Because I have to watch the StreamYard one over here, but I watched the YouTube one also to make sure nothing cuts out. Anyways, Asics logo at the top. And then on the inside, just white and some kind of like a light grayish, bluish sort of color, right? So I do like this. I saw this. I thought, wow, that's a really nice look of these. Because I was trying to think of like, okay, well, what's like a shoe that you can wear like casually, but you can also go and like walk this 5K in it, right? Because I considered getting the GT 2014 because, those are nice. They're good for that sort of thing too. But they have a look that most people don't want on a daily basis. But this, I think most people can get by on just like casual wear because it doesn't have that like straight up runner look. Because that straight up runner look, not everybody wants that all the time. But anyway, so yeah, so pick these up. So I'll find out how this works out. When is that thing? April 12th or 11th or 10th? No, it's April 10th or 11th, right? It's April 10th or 11th. Whichever one of those days is a Saturday, that's the day that this DC Cherry Blossom happens. So also that means I have a little over a month to get in some kind of better shape so that I can like run this thing decently. The 10 miler, that is. Because I think my friends are like kind of like wanting me to like run this quickly with them. And I'm like, dude, okay. So anyways, moving on. The S4 Plus Yogiri, right? What's coming up? The Shamrock Half Marathon is coming up. And, as far as, what's that, St. Patrick's Day things go, green is the color, right? Meaning I need some green shoes to break out for this thing. Do I have some green shoes already? Yeah, of course I do, sure. But do I have some new, unworn, fancy green shoes to wear to this thing? Well, actually I do, because I have 2 pair. So I guess I didn't exactly need these. But I got them because I wanted them. I think that's where we're at here. You know, a lot of people are. So anyways, I showed you this, right? Can't remember if I did or not because I got a little sidetracked. So anyways, yeah, I saw these and I thought to myself a while ago, this would be interesting to try out because the thing is, it's a stability shoe, which generally feels pretty nice, but it's also plated. You can't see the plate. It's kind of like the magic, not the magic speed. It's, the glide ride, maybe? It's kind of like one of those other shoes where it's plated, but you can't see it at all. So anyways, I saw that, sounded intriguing, and now I finally have had a time where it makes sense to pick them up, so I picked them up. Down across the bottom, that looks a lot like a lot of the recent Meta Speed shoes, right? As far as like the black grippy stuff out there, right? It just has more of it because this time around they're not really concerned with the weight of the shoe as much as they are just the overall functionality, which is fine, right? It keeps the price down when they like don't worry about some of the other stuff. I'm okay with that. Moving on, midsole wise, right? I don't recall if this is like a split technology or not. It looks like it could be, but I'm not sure. And it doesn't have the labeling on here to say otherwise. So it would imply that it is all going to be Flight Foam Turbo Plus, which I want to say was the same thing in the Magic Speed 4. I feel pretty good about saying that. But either way, so that's what's going on there. You do have a nice split color, right? But otherwise, you just have like the white at the top, green at the bottom. Speaking of green, the upper, it's a very vibrant look in person. In the camera, it looks a bit washed out, which is not great, but yeah, it is what it is. I've been saying I need a new camera for years, and I keep not doing anything about it. So here we are. Anyway, so it's going to be like a very meshy sort of thing, right? Same feel as a lot of stuff of this nature, you know, but it actually feels pretty decent, and it looks like it's going to be very breathable. If you look in there real close, like you kind of see all the perforations and all. There we go. Kind of see all that stuff, and he has like a decent stitching pattern as far as the visual, at least in my opinion. Sidelines go in here, right? Everything's just kind of like printed on there. No extra decals and stuff. That's the same on that side. A little bit of branding back there. Also, I don't know if it's pronounced yogiri. Like that's just what I said in my head, and it's just what I also said out loud. But if somebody wants to correct me, sure. Just to, cite your source, I guess. As far as the laces go, the laces have those little grippy things on there to make them easy to stay in place, so they don't just go sliding through here. The Mega Blast had those too, I believe. I want to say that's what I remember those from. So that's the thing that's happening. Otherwise, the tongue is going to be very slim and flimsy, much like the Meta Speed Ray, which I really feel like I should wear those more often. I was pacing a half marathon yesterday, and a friend of mine, he had on the Meta Speed Ray. I was like, I should break those out because he looks like he's worn his quite a bit. I wore mine to where did I wear those? Like a Munster Mile and I think a 10K, and that was it. So yeah, it's probably about time to do something with those again. Anyway, so very thin on the tongue, and then the inside down here on the sock liner. Not the sock liner, but the insole. You kind of see it's got like these little holes in there, which is not what I'm expecting or whatever, but it looks kind of cool, I guess. Might be for breathability, perhaps. I'm not sure what the deal is, what they're going for down in there. But yeah, interesting look. So here's the thing, though. I need these, and the run is like what, the 21st or 22nd, something like that. So not super soon, right? Enough time with which I can get this pair here, try them on, make sure they fit right, and if they don't fit right, send them back, get the replacement, all that stuff, all within that amount of time. That's why I kind of jumped on it early. Before I go jumping, that actually fits very well so far. One thing that I will mention though, before I forget it, because I think it's worth mentioning, you can kind of see down in there, like the tongue is like not really like stitched onto the side like a gusseted tongue and all that stuff, right? It's very much just in there, right? I guess it just attaches down here, then just is free from like only this part, right? Which means if this is anything like those Meta Speed Rays, this tongue might just be slipping and sliding all through here, right? I mean, the material that it's made of looks like it might give you enough friction to not do that. But that was one of the things I did not like about the Ray, was that the tongue would just kind of like start doing its own thing sometimes. Wasn't thrilled about it, people. But you know, it's kind of one of those things with certain designs. You just know that there's going to be certain little flaws, but it's just the way certain things work. You know, it's the way they made it. It mostly worked out pretty well otherwise, other than that. So I can't really complain a whole lot. It was just that piece of it was a bit of a bother, but you know, whatever. To me, when I sit here and complain about stuff, it only matters so much because like I wear a lot of things, you know, so nothing gets too much wear. Most stuff is just kind of hanging out for the most part. Oh, there's like something on this shoe. That's what that is. I'll have to see if I can get that off. But see that there's like a little black dot on there. I thought that was going to be just like something that was just like a piece of lint or something, but it looks like it could be in the fabrics. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. We'll deal with that at a later date. But for now, as far as sizing goes, right? He's actually feeling pretty decent at the true to size. I bought him in a 9.5. Maybe you saw that on the side of the box. It feels like there's a good bit of room in the as far as like in front of the toe and the side. You know, not amazing, not bad, but feels good as far as the side goes too. So I think things are gonna work out okay. So I got no problems with that. Actually, there's like a oh, okay. I don't know. It looks like there was something on the side of the shoe, but I think that's just like the way the shadow hits, like where there's like a where there's the lines under there. See, kind of see what I'm talking about? How like when you first look at that, it looks like there's something on there, but then when you look a little closer, it's really just like the way the shoe is, just from like the hard plastic that's under there, and just like where the shoe just kind of goes along with the grooves and stuff, right? So yeah. So anyways, yeah, sizing wise, things are feeling pretty good. I'm thinking this is going to be okay, right? So I got no complaints about that. But I'm going to have to get up and actually walk around in these to really say for sure. Because sometimes, you know, with like the thinner shoes, like more narrow shoes, you know, that's when doing that whole up a half size thing might really come into play. Because if you're going to be on your feet for a while, sometimes you want that extra room because, again, the foot swelling over time, right? Which also happens on airplanes and stuff. Somebody was talking about that recently. You know, somebody like the elevation and whatnot, and like the prolonged sitting, so your blood isn't really moving around a whole lot. Then your feet get kind of swollen. So if you're ever on a plane, that might also be a time to wear some shoes that fit a little bit looser or a little bigger or whatever. Just something to think about. Anyway, so yeah, things are seemingly fine with these, minus like the appearance, if you will, on the left pair there. But I'll deal with that later once I figure out, you know, if I really want to stick with the 9.5. Because again, for right now, it feels fine. But sitting in a chair, not really walking around and things, anything can feel fine, right? It's a little misleading sometimes. Anyway, so there's going to be that. I think that's everything. So I'll hit you with a real quick recap. Try to get out of here before this timer runs up too much longer. Because I mean, 23 minutes is of just sitting here nonstop talking. It's weird, right? I feel like why I'm not a normal like talking a lot kind of guy, you know. I just kind of like sit there, mind my own business, and I'm quiet. So when I'm doing this and I see this timer, it's like this has just been me, a very one-sided conversation, obviously, for the last almost half hour. I could have watched an episode of Seinfeld in this. Started off with this right here. This is the no, it's not. This is the Superblast 3. I kept saying Metaspeed earlier, and then it was just stuck in my head. The Superblast 3, people, this right here, I'm going to see how these work out this weekend. Should work out pretty well. They say they're made for, you know, distance and comfort over the distance, but I think they'll be all right for speed too. And then we talked about this right here a good bit. This is the Yogiri S4 Plus. Actually, it's S4 Plus Yogiri because that's how it's written on the side anyways. So yeah, carbon plated full length in there, you know, along with some nice foam and whatnot, but it also gives you stability. So if you have issues with pronation, this is something to consider, right? Because they don't make a whole lot of stability speed shoes, you know what I mean? So anyways, this one right here is made for that. So we'll see. It's one of those things. I won't really know how they stand up for sure until later because, again, if I'm pacing something, I'm not running at my normal speed. I'm going to be pacing this half at 8 minutes, right? Well, 7:55 to 8 because, you know, you want to stay under the 145 but not too much under the 145. And then also this was in there somewhere. This is the gel-nyc. So there you go, and some kind of nice little color, you know, very very subtle. I do like it. A lot of light blues, a little bit of a greenish sort of thing going on down in there. Yeah, this one is like really nice. A lot of the honestly, a lot of the nicest shoes that I've seen have not been mine. There was one thing that I forgot I wanted to mention. I'll do it real fast. This past weekend, 5K on Saturday, half marathon on Sunday. I was pacing people. Saturday at a 7, someone wanted to do like a 22 for their 5K, knocked that out. Sunday, 145 for the half marathon, knocked that thing out. Both of which in this right here, Adidas Adizero Adios Pro 4, right? Which is why I have me wearing an Adidas shirt. I wore these today too. Anyways, these right here, they are a little bit older, but they are still totally worth considering because the thing is, they're probably on their way out. So I think that's why a lot of the prices have been dropping quite a bit. Normally these are $250. I picked this pair up for like what, 150, 140, something like that. And I will say this, right? They still hold their own when I think about a lot of the other stuff that I bought since then. The research and development that went into creating this shoe, that all wrapped up forever ago, people. There's been a lot of other things since then that are, some of that is better, some of that is not better, right? Some of it's right on par. Where I'm going with this, if you see a pair of these and you're thinking, oh, that's a pretty decent price, you know, for a nice carbon plated shoe, well, not plated, but carbon shoe, and you're thinking about picking up a pair, but you're on the fence because they're a little bit older, get off the fence, make the purchase if the color makes sense to you. That's where I'm going with that. Before, what I was going to say was, a lot of the best colorways I've seen were on shoes that I bought for other people. Like when I first picked up a pair of Cayano 32s in this colorway for my aunt and my mother. I was like, man, that color's fantastic once I saw it in person. So when they finally made those, I was like, yeah, I'm doing that for sure. So yeah, it sucks that a lot of like the colors that I really like often end up on things that I didn't buy for myself. But every now and then I get something that I like too. So it's fine. From me to you, have a nice rest of your day or rest of your night, whatever's wherever you are. I'm going to read this thing real quick that somebody wrote. You're doing quite well at talking for 20 plus minutes. Well, you know, you would think that I talk a whole lot all the time to be able to do this and like not just constantly fumble over my words. But no, I don't. When I'm at work, I kind of just am at work. It's me, it's the screen, and my mind just making stuff happen. So where this ability to talk comes from, I'm honestly not very sure. But for some reason, it just seems to work out all right. So appreciate you for your compliment there. All right. That being that, I don't have any other videos coming up anytime too soon. I put up a bunch of stuff over the last week or so. Hopefully I can get around to wearing these Brooks Chippendales this week and also these, because those are the next things that would go up. So we'll see how that works out. It's been a little weird with the rain and stuff lately. So now you have an idea of what's coming around. So I guess now we can part ways. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for listening to however much of this you listened to. Whether it was a little or a lot, it's all appreciated all the same. Actually, no, I appreciate the people who listen more. I'll be honest with you. But if you just got here late, you know, I get it. Anyways, have a good rest of your day, rest of your night, wherever you are. Just like I said seconds ago, just want to make sure you all heard it because I do care about you. All right, later, people. Find that end button.